Order in the court. Emily Cooper, on the charge of the first-degree murder of Claire Thompson, this court finds you guilty. You are hereby sentenced to 5 years in prison.
I grabbed the railing, tears falling down my face.
No, I am not guilty. I didn't kill her. Please believe me.
Order in the court. The sentence stands.
I turned to my boyfriend, Adrian, desperate for him to help
Adrian, tell them, you know I didn't do this.
Stop lying, Emily. You are exactly where you belong.
His words hit like a slap.
Do you really believe I killed your ex-girlfriend?
Adrian, we loved each other.
Love, you killed Claire. You got what you deserve.
I trusted you. How can you do this to me? You know I am innocent.
His cruel smirk flickered on his face.
Innocent? Save your tears for prison!
You are breaking my heart, Adrian. How could you? I'll never forgive you for this. No. Never!
Adrian turned away, not caring for my trauma and pain. I told myself, you are Emily Cooper, daughter of one of the wealthiest and respected men in New York. I cannot go down without a fight. I will return to claim what's mine. Sitting on the floor, staring at the locked door, I, like a wounded lone wolf, sat there recalling every wrong done to me. That dark, evil night was flashing in front of my eyes. Adrian was yelling at me.
Why did you kill my ex, you murderer?
No, Adrian, I didn't.
His ex was dead on my floor, blood everywhere. I didn't know how she got there.
You are gonna jail, Emily? I am ashamed I loved you.
His words hurt badly. I begged, crying. Adrian, please, you know me. I'm Emily Cooper, not a killer.
Shut up. Your name's nothing now.
I saw the man whom I dearly loved change in a moment. Why? Many questions burst in my head. Suddenly the sirens got loud outside. Cops ran in, guns out. One yelled, "Drop the knife, hands up!" I dropped it, shaking. I didn't kill her. It's not what it looks like, I said, voice breaking. Adrian just stood there, cold.
Tell it to the judge, Emily.
The cops grabbed me, cuffed me, and dragged me out. I looked at Adrian, hoping he'd help, but he just watched, like I was nobody. That moment, when the guy I loved turned away, I felt something was not right on Adrian's face. The nightmare has just begun. After the trial, when they locked me in that cold prison cell, I thought I'd hit rock bottom, but then the prison doctor gave me news that changed everything.
Emily, you are pregnant.
My hand on my stomach. Pregnant? It felt like a tiny spark of hope, a blessing in that dark place. This was Adrian's child, a piece of the love we once had. I decided right then that this baby was my reason to keep going, to survive the prison's hardships. But fate had other plans, and they were cruel. In that cramped cell, after months of pain and fear, I gave birth to my son. He was so small, with my eyes and Adrian's jawline, but the doctor's face was grim.
Emily, he's got a weak heart. We're doing what we can.
I barely got to hold him before they took him away. Then, the worst news came.
I am so sorry, Emily. Your son didn't make it.
Screamed, begged to see him, to hold him one last time. I wrote to Adrian pleading for answers for my baby.
Hi, I'm Adrian's lawyer. My client has asked me to share a message with you.
Why didn't he come himself?
Sorry, I have no answer for that. The child passed away. There's nothing more to discuss.
Just like that, my son was gone, and Adrian wouldn't even face me. The pain was unbearable, like my heart was ripped out. I felt betrayed, abandoned by the man I'd loved. Fate wasn't done with me yet. My father, the strongest man I knew, couldn't handle the stress of my conviction. I got a letter from his assistant.
Emily, your father had a massive stroke. He's in a coma. I'm so sorry.
My anchor, my dad, was gone from me too, lost in a coma. And the Cooper Empire, our family's legacy? I found out through a smuggled newspaper that Adrian had taken control, like it was handed to him on a platter. Everything I loved was slipping away. For 5 years, that gray cell was my world. The hours dragged into days, the days into years. I saw the hope fade in the other inmates' eyes, and I felt it fading in me too. But I survived. They framed me. They stole my son. They destroyed my family. I wouldn't let them win. Every night I planned my return, hardening my heart, sharpening my will. They'd all pay, every single one of them. After 5 years, I was released and I came back to New York. The city was the same, but I wasn't. I hadn't forgotten a thing. I was ready to take back what was mine, to find the truth behind my suffering. It was time to fight. As I stepped out of the prison gates, there was Adrian, waiting for me, leaning against his shiny car like nothing had ever happened. His presence threw me off. Adrian always had a way of confusing me, twisting my emotions with his unpredictable behavior.
Welcome back, my love. You were missed badly.
He flashed that charming smile and opened the car door for me, acting like the last 5 years didn't exist. I stared at him, trying to figure out what game he was playing. Was he serious? After everything? Thanks, Adrian. I gave him a stiff, formal side hug, barely touching him, and slid into the car. The plush leather seat felt foreign, and the irony of sitting next to him again stung. 5 years ago, he'd watched me get dragged away, accused me of murder, and now he was acting like we were picking up where we left off.
The weather today is as beautiful as you. I'm so happy to see you back to normal life.
He drove smoothly, chatting like we were just old lovers catching up after Asmal fight. It was unreal.
You should come home, Em. The house is the same. Lorraine made your favorite, chicken risotto.
Lorraine, my stepmother, my father's second wife. The mention of her name made my stomach twist, but I kept my face blank. I don't want to go home, Adrian. Just take me to a motel, and take me to the office first. I need to go there now.
You sure?
Yes. My voice was cold, flat. He didn't push right away, just nodded. But instead of heading to a motel, he pulled over near Cooper Tower, the towering symbol of my family's legacy, now his. He got out, walked around the car with that easy confidence, and looked at me.
Emily, you look amazing, just like before. I've missed you.
His voice was smooth, his eyes scanning me, possessive. I felt a chill. Did you miss me enough to visit me in prison? Oh wait, you never did. My words were sharp, cutting through his act. He laughed, awkward, trying to brush it off.
I didn't know how to face you, Em. I was broken. I lost you and our child.
My chest tightened at the mention of our son, the baby I never got to hold, the one he claimed died. His casual tone made my blood boil. Let's not pretend, Adrian. You let them think I was a murderer. He reached for my hand, his voice pleading.
I didn't want to. I was scared. But I never stopped loving you.
His touch made my skin crawl, but I didn't pull away. I forced a small smile. Prison taught me to play the part, to hide my claws until the right moment. Thank you for the second chance.
Let's take things slow, like before.
Like before? No, Adrian. There'd be no going back. Only the payback I'd been planning for years. He drove me to a modest motel downtown and left. I sat alone in the sterile room, my mind racing, plotting my next move. I wasn't the same Emily he'd framed. I was ready for the comeback. I was in my motel room, still shaken from Adrian's fake charm when the phone rang, so loud it made me jump. Who could it be? Adrian? He'd just left. Liam? Probably not. I grabbed the receiver, my heart racing. I said, "Hello?"
Emily Cooper, welcome back to the land of the living or the land of the lying.
The voice was creepy, distorted. I demanded answers. I said firmly, "Who are you? What do you want?"
I know the story about Claire's murder isn't complete. It wasn't just jealousy.
My breath stopped. I pushed for more. I asked what they knew.
Cooper Tower hides secrets. Trust no one, Emily. Especially the ones who smile big. Your hero might be holding a knife.
The line went dead, the dial tone buzzing like a threat. Was this about Adrian? Someone else? I couldn't shake it. The next morning, I walked into Cooper Tower alone. People stared, whispering like I was a ghost. My name was dirt here. My old office was gone, turned into something cold and modern, like I'd never been part of it. The silence felt like it was blaming me. Then Liam, my dad's old sales manager, found me, looking shocked, but kind.
Welcome back, Miss Cooper. You okay with the work?
I nodded, acting tougher than I felt, and said I'd manage. Later, I headed to the elevators, the office feeling like it was closing in on me. The doors opened, and a young guy in a cheap suit was there, holding files, looking nervous. He started to say my name and something about the security logs from that night. But then Adrian's voice cut in, asking if I was leaving already. He stepped into the elevator, and the air turned heavy. The guy went mute. He didn't say another word and got out fast. Adrian smiled at me, all smooth, and asked if I was okay, saying I seemed tense. I said I was fine, keeping my voice cold. His smile stayed. But that moment left me uneasy. People knew things, and they were too scared to talk. Adrian was keeping everyone quiet. That day at Cooper Tower, the place was stressing me out big time, so I went to the cafe downstairs at lunch to chill. This kid, maybe 5, with curly brown hair and a train backpack, bumped right into my leg. He looked up and said, "Sorry, didn't see you." His eyes were so bright. I smiled, but they hit me deep, like I knew them from somewhere. I asked, "You lost, kid?" He said, "Nope, it's my dad's birthday. I'm getting him a gift." Those eyes got me, so I said, "Need help picking something?" He grinned and said, "Yeah, I'm John." He dragged me to the gift shop, pointed at a fancy tie and said, "My dad's gonna love this." I asked, "Got enough cash for that?" He winked, pulled out a fat stack of money from his backpack and said, "My dad and grandparents give me tons." The kid paid like it was no big deal. Walking back, he looked at me and said, "I like you, miss. Can I hang with you more?" I felt this warm vibe, like he was special. Then some guy's voice, all sharp, yelled, "Jonathan!" This big shot dude with intense eyes walked up, staring me down. John ran over and said, "That's my dad, I got him a gift." The guy just said, "Emily," like he knew me, and it creeped me out. "How do you know my name?" His security guys took John away, but John waved and said, "Don't forget me, Miss Emily." I told him, "I won't, John," but my voice was shaky. Those eyes of his, they felt like my son's, the one I lost in prison. But that's impossible, right? And why was his dad looking at me like I was trouble? Those questions messed with my head, making me think the truth I'm chasing might be way darker than I thought. I just stood there, heart pounding, wondering what I'd stumbled into. Back in my tiny office at Cooper Tower, I couldn't get John's face out of my head. His little giggle, those big eyes. They hit me like a fist to the chest, so familiar it hurt. They dragged me back to that prison cell, where I screamed for my baby, my voice just echoing off those cold walls, not reaching a soul. I begged to hold him, to say goodbye, but they only let me touch him once. I tried to grieve, tried to let go, but deep down I never believed it was final. Now, John, that kid from the cafe, and his dad, Eric, could he be my son? Or was 5 years of pain messing with my head? The thought scared me, but the idea that I might be right, that was worse, like a knife twisting in my gut. The next morning I couldn't deal with another fake breakfast at the Cooper mansion, so I ditched it and headed to this grimy cafe in Hell's Kitchen to meet Miles Reeves, my dad's old private investigator. The place stank of burnt coffee and grease, but it felt like the right spot for secrets. Miles was slumped in a corner booth, his face all grouchy like always. He muttered that I was late. I snapped back that he was cranky, my voice sharper than I planned, but I was done playing nice. He gave me a look, maybe shocked I still had some fight left after everything, and said it had been a while since we'd talked. I didn't mess around, telling him I needed everything he had. My trial, my son, Adrian, the whole mess. My hands were balled up under the table, my heart thumping hard. Miles leaned back, his eyes narrowing, and asked if I was really ready for the truth. I looked him dead in the eye and said I'd spent 5 years locked in a cell, dreaming of answers. I was way past ready. He nodded like he believed me, and slid a beat-up black folder across the table, my dad's old seal stamped on it. He said he'd kept it safe all this time, that my dad had hired him to poke around just before his stroke, because he'd felt something was wrong, like a trap was closing in. I opened the folder slowly, my hands shaky but careful, like it might fall apart. Inside were court papers, bank records, some blurry photos of faces I didn't know, and notes in my dad's wobbly handwriting. Each page felt heavy, like proof he'd been fighting for me even when I didn't know it. I paused, running my fingers over his writing, my throat getting tight. "What did Dad find?" I asked, looking up at Miles. He said my dad had suspicions about Adrian and Lorraine, that he'd caught weird money moves in the company before everything went bad. I nodded, turning back to the papers, taking my time to soak it in. Then I stopped at a document that made my stomach drop. A custody transfer, dated 2 days after I gave birth, in that awful prison infirmary. I stared at it, my breath catching. "What's this?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Miles said a lawyer named Ben Halvers pushed it through, but the signature, supposed to be mine, was a fake. I whispered, "What?" feeling like the air got sucked out of the room. "How'd they fake it?" I asked, leaning in. My eyes locked onto his. He said he'd pulled my real signature from prison intake records. It didn't match at all, not even close. I sat back, my mind racing. Adrian had stolen my son, my baby, without me ever knowing. My hands gripped the folder and I asked, "Who's this Ben Halvers? Where is he now?" Miles shook his head, saying the guy was a ghost. Worked a few shady deals, then vanished, no trace. My hands were getting sweaty and cold. I flipped to the next page, slower now, trying to keep my hands steady. There was a hospital report, or what was left of it. Miles spoke up, saying the place where they said my son died shut down 2 months after, like it was never real. I looked up, my voice shaking, and asked, "What about the doctor? The one who took my baby?" Miles said the doctor was gone too. No license, no records, like he'd never existed. I felt sick, my eyes scanning a photocopy of a death certificate. "This says my son died," I said, holding it up. "Is this real?" Miles shook his head again, saying it was filed under a fake name, tied to a rented office with a dead phone number. Nothing checked out. I sat there staring at the paper, my chest tight. "So, Adrian made me grieve a lie?" I said, my voice cracking. "He thought I'd never come back." Miles nodded, his face grim, and said this wasn't about justice. It was about power, about Adrian, and others snatching my dad's empire, the Cooper legacy, and making sure I stayed locked away forever. I set the certificate down, my fingers lingering on it like I could feel the lie through the paper. "Who else was in on this?" I asked, my voice harder now. Miles leaned in, his voice low, and said his digging back then had stirred up trouble. He'd gotten creepy threats, late-night calls telling him to stop, a brick smashed through his car window, notes saying he'd regret it if he kept going. He said it wasn't just Adrian and Lorraine. Someone bigger, with serious money and connections, was pulling strings. "How big are we talking?" I asked, my heart pounding. He shrugged, saying he never got a name, but the threats felt like they came from someone who could make people disappear. I took a deep breath, letting that sink in, every word fueling the fire in my gut. I looked back at the folder, flipping through more pages, finding a grainy photo of Adrian meeting some guy in a suit outside a bank. "Who's this with Adrian?" I asked, holding it up. Miles said he couldn't ID the guy, but the bank was tied to offshore accounts that funneled money out of Cooper Tower. I nodded, tucking that away, my mind piecing it together like a puzzle I'd been waiting years to solve. I asked, "Can you keep digging? Find Halvers, the doctor, anybody?" Miles looked at me, his eyes steady, and said he was already in, but I'd have to get tough. No second chances, no soft spots. I nodded, feeling something cold and hard settle inside me. I was done being the girl who trusted too much. I closed the folder, holding it tight, like it was the only real thing I had left. "Thanks, Miles. I will remember you all my life," I said, my voice calm but strong. As I left the cafe, the folder under my arm felt like a loaded gun, and I swore to myself I'd use every bit of truth in it to take Adrian down, and anyone else who'd tried to bury me. I couldn't face the mansion, so I went to my dad's care facility upstairs. The place was dead quiet, all antiseptic and cold. In his room, my dad, this giant who built an empire, lay still, tied to machines. He was grayer, thinner, but still my dad. The man who taught me to ride a bike, to stand tall in a boardroom, to never give up. I held his hand and said, "You told me Coopers survive." I told him they tried to wipe us out, but I was back. I pulled out an old photo, me grinning on his shoulders at a construction site, and said, "You said I'd run this city. I'm doing it for you." His hand twitched, just a bit, and I whispered, "You heard me, didn't you?" I promised I'd fix it, expose the truth, burn down everything they stole. I kissed his forehead and said, "I love you, Dad." I walked out, not broken, but ready to fight for him, for us. Adrian, Lorraine, Eric, the judge, the doctor, the lawyer who vanished, the nurse who never existed, the man in the bank photo. Whoever they were, however powerful, they'd built a world on my ruin. Now it was my turn to watch it burn. But first, I had to know the truth. Was John really my son? What happened the night Claire died? Who was pulling the strings behind all of this? And if I dig too deep, will I survive what I find? To find out what happens next, download the Pocket FM app and listen to the full episodes of Emily Returns.